In this exclusive season, we meet with high-profile, incredibly successful athletes who achieve the greatest heights on the sports field and are now dominating the finance world. Joining us is none other than Chris Judd, Luke Jones, Ted Richards, Grant Hackett, Shane Wakeland, Tom King, Andy Gowers, Izzy Chilcott, Jack Trengrove. Hello, Sienna. How are you?
Hi, Fabian. I'm good.
That's good. We're here on a Thursday morning.
Yep.
Just had some issues with the recording, but we're good. We're good to go. It's
good.
okay.
It's okay.
It's interesting because we were just talking about when we had Jack Trengrove on the podcast. We flew to Adelaide.
Poor
for that.
Jack.
And we had some technical issues, to say the least.
To say the least. Literally everything that could have gone wrong that day basically went wrong.
But Jack had very exceptional patience.
Oh, my gosh. What a gentleman.
Very thankful. I don't know how he listened to me talk to him for an hour, and then we had to do it all again. But no,
I know. It's all right.
We
deal with adversity.
We got there. That's right. I think that's probably almost been a theme for season 3, deal with adversity, because
Absolutely.
But resilience seems to be the theme. Adversity, desire to win and be successful.
Passion.
As well. Passion. Yeah. So, yeah, we should maybe do a little recap of each
season.
Season 3, but also each episode, because there was so much. Like, I don't know, we started with like the legend, arguably, of football, episode
Chris
20.
Judd, yeah.
Sort of your idol, would you say?
Basically, yeah. My whole family's idol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a great guy. And one thing that stood out for me was how he ranks really highly on just agreeability.
Yeah.
If that's a word, I think that's right. And just saying that he's always looking for ways to do things differently to get an edge.
Yeah.
And that talks to him as a football player and also as an investor.
Yeah.
And he's had a cracking year, one of the leading investment funds globally in the last 12 months, which is just remarkable.
Yeah. Yeah, his episode was just amazing. It was amazing that we could have him on the podcast, and him setting up the season was, I think, really suitable because of how every other episode that followed kind of went. Like everything he talked about, from, you know, his passion, his motivation, but also just being disciplined. And yeah, he was just so intelligent. Everything that he talked about, and that, I guess what you said about him scoring so low on agreeability, and how that's a strength, that, you know, not always saying yes to everything is a good thing, and having that kind of
definitely.
diversity.
Well, we are in Melbourne, so we did have a few AFL football players on the podcast. Ted Richards as well.
Yeah.
Centre half back for the Sydney Swans, also played for Essendon for a little bit. All Australian premiership player. But it was really interesting. He I wouldn't say struggled early on in his career, but he probably didn't reach the peak because he was trying to do everything. But then one thing he did say to us was he just focused on doing one thing and doing it well.
Yeah.
And that set him apart from the rest of the centre half backs in the competition. And that helped him to win a flag and be the All-Australian for that year.
There's such life lessons, like everything that they felt in sport and what they went through in sport always transferred over to, I guess, their life. And you can take it. I mean, a lot of our listeners probably aren't, like, you know, same AFL players, but there's so much you can take from just simply that statement. Like he was trying to be everything, and instead he honed in on being the one thing that he was good at, and he became the best at it. And that's exactly how, you know, you should probably approach life. Like you learn so much from from all their experiences.
And also having good mentors, I think, is important too.
Absolutely.
And we had when Shane Wakeland was on the podcast, I think it was episode 24, he had Mick McGuan and Eddie Maguire driving the Collingwood Football Club, and he talks about when he had a bad game and he was a bit upset, and Mick Moldhouse just said to him, "Mate, toughen up, get over it, and just get going." And that's been Shane's mindset. You know, things aren't going to go your way. don't cry, just get up and get going and move forward.
Exactly. He talked about like how he was feeling so sorry for himself, and maybe rightly so, you know. I think he said he thought he was playing his last ever game of football and he was really down, and Mick just said like suck it up basically, and he took that to the rest of his career, and it shows.
Yeah, it did. I want to go back to Jack because one thing I did like about Jack is he really, you know, his career, he had a very successful football career up until the age of 21. He was the captain of the Melbourne Football Club, or co-captain, I think at 20 or 21.
Youngest ever captain.
Which is extremely impressive. But the thing is, he got told, he mentioned to us, he had a really bad leg injury and he got told by the doctor he might not ever walk again or run again.
Yeah.
So, like, just to be told that at such a young age when you're so promising and, you know, you're one of the arguably the best 20 or 21-year-olds in the competition would be tough.
Yeah.
And it just speaks about, you know, resilience and just working hard and get to a point where, you know, it might not have got back to the level he was playing at, but just that resilience to keep going and just push through. And now, you know, he made a decision that at you know, pretty early on in his career in football that he wants to move into finance and investment management, and now, you know, he's doing exceptional work at Lanyon Investment Partners.
Yeah, his episode was, I think, an amazing note to finish the season off, because his I guess story was unique in the fact that everything that happened to him when he was so young,
Yeah.
and a lot of his success happened so early on, and the fact that he has been able to build on that success and learn from those experiences and bring it into his career within finance was so impressive. Plus, he was a major gentleman because of all the technical difficulties that day.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was amazing to listen
Always
to.
welcome back in the podcast, Jack. You
Jack,
are.
anytime.
Yeah. And what was your favourite episode, Sienna? I know we don't have favourites here on the Finance Friends podcast, but if we weren't recording, who would be your other than Chris Judd?
Yeah, okay.
Who else?
Aside from Chris Judd, because he's just such a legend in my family and my life, I think probably one of the most inspiring stories was Izzy's for me.
Yeah, was that episode 27, I believe?
Episode 27, second last episode of the season. And she was so inspiring to me because of how much she has did during her sporting career. I think a lot of the episodes talked about the transition out of it and finding footing after. But Izzy had begun her career as she was playing in Australia, as she was playing basketball. And I think she's just a big inspiration because of the fact that she was a woman in both of these sectors that are really dominated by men, finance and sports. And she succeeded so highly in both. And she just seemed like someone who really backs herself and is confident and will do the work. And, you know, she just really inspired me. And I hope a lot of our female listeners that you can do anything that you want.
I agree. And she was a professional basketball player but wasn't earning enough of an income to only focus on sports. She had to have a full-time job.
That was another major difference,
Yeah, which I struggle to get up in the morning, go to the gym and go to work, let alone be a professional athlete. That's for sure.
Yeah, so her discipline, her resilience, like we've been talking about, was really inspiring.
And she also went to college overseas as an 17 or 18-year-old.
Yeah.
So to be overseas on your own, 17 or 18-year-old, on a sports scholarship, traveling lots but also having to study, that's challenging, being away from your family at that age.
And she talked about as well, like taking her studies really seriously. Like she majored, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, listeners, but I think it was in finance and commerce as an umbrella. And she did well. Like that was really important to her. Her education was important to her. And it shows through her career. Like everything she learned wasn't just to, you know, experience being in America on a sports scholarship. She was still disciplined even then. And so how much it brings into her life thereafter is just, it was really inspiring.
Talking about another international star, we had Luke Jones on.
Yes.
I think it was the second episode, 21 of season 3. And he moved to France and he had young family living in France. I think he had 2 children at the time. playing professional rugby in France. Like that's an
Yeah.
inspiration on its own.
Yeah, his episode was really
But
amazing.
it's not all roses and lollipops. And one thing that we did learn, it's the transition's not always easy.
Yeah.
So Luke did say, and one thing that stood out, that he was in a meeting with his boss, and his boss said, "I'll send a calendar invite to the client for this meeting," and he's like, I don't know, maybe 30 at the time or 32, and he's like, "I don't know how to do that." And you
Yeah.
think, wow, how do you not know how to do that? But it just shows you, when he was playing as a Wallaby, they'd have his passport, they'd organise his food. You wouldn't have to do much. You just have to focus on sport and be the best athlete you can. So that's quite interesting. And that sort of, it also talks to Tom King,
Yeah.
episode 25. And Tom, like his whole career, like as a teenager, his goal was to win a gold medal.
Yeah. It was very clear. It was
Very
a clear goal.
That's right. And when he achieved that and won a gold medal, he felt lost.
Yeah.
And it took him a bit of time to realise that you don't actually need to reach that pinnacle again. In corporate life, there's no such thing as a gold medal in corporate life. You're continuously learning and developing, and companies grow, companies shrink, but that's okay.
Yeah, I think that's something that really was beautiful about this season, is that all of our guests felt comfortable enough to talk to us about the struggle as well as all of the success, because all these people have been so successful in sport and then in finance and found their footing, and it's really beautiful to see that. But what was even more, I think, impactful and inspiring was hearing them talk about how they got out of feeling lost, because that's
Yeah.
a very normal human feeling. And everyone at some point is feeling lost and undecided and like they have
yeah.
no real clear goal. And Tom talked about that.
Yeah, and unsure about what your career is, what's next. And it
Yeah.
could, be based on what's happening in your personal life. And everyone goes through that, and that's okay. And that's one of the key messages. Have we talked about everyone? I think maybe have we talked about we haven't talked about Andy Gowers yet, episode
I don't think
26.
so.
He's full of energy. He made me laugh so many times.
He was so good.
He's got the best stories. Obviously now he's the president of Hawks and also runs a very successful succession planning business.
Yeah.
One thing that made me laugh was he when he first started Hawks, he was young chap, 17 or 18, and he had Dermot Berridon, Jason Dunstall, and the arguably the greats of AFL, and he walked in and his team won 4 premierships in a row. He was fortunate enough to play in the 4th one, and then he ended up going to Brisbane. But it was pretty funny when he went to Brisbane Bears at that point that he said, "Okay, I want a job, I'm doing marketing. I just don't, whatever I do, I don't want to sell marketing at the Gabba." And next minute, what is he doing?
Selling marketing at the Gabba. Oh, so doing the footy record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's quite funny, and he's had very interesting career as well as a bit of diversity too. He was in a marketing agency and he was the only male, and he was playing professional sport, but it wasn't professional at that point. It was semi-professional, so he still had to travel while working, and he actually had to work harder because football in Brisbane Bears in the sort of late 90s or whatever period it was, or mid 90s was just barely any recognition.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was interesting to hear him talk about how he was the outlier in the corporate world when being the only male in a team of females, especially in that time, and how that fact plus the fact that he was an AFL football player, that was actually to his detriment almost within his professional career, because he had to work twice as hard to prove that he deserved to be there. And I think as well, him talking about how being the president of the Hawthorn Football Club is a voluntary position, and kind of how that sense of juggling 2 things at once and trying to, pursue both sides of, being involved in sport and finance, he's still doing. He's the president of a major football club and he's running his own business. And so, those ideas or those kind of points of life that were happening really early on have actually carried through and in a really successful way.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like we could talk about these stars for another hour.
Oh,
but,
yeah. Grant
but
Hackett, especially.
Yeah.
Have we spoken about Grant yet?
No, we haven't. Sorry.
Oh,
His episode
episode
23.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His
How can I
episode-
forget Grant? I can't forget Grant. I see him all the time in College Street.
No, his episode was amazing. He was just like on a whole like other level of
Yeah.
discipline, and
Yeah.
it's almost as if
Drive.
he almost treats his professional career as he treated his swimming career.
Yeah, if not more discipline.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I think he was a world record holder for 12 years.
Wow.
Which is incredible.
Yeah.
He's, arguably one of Australia's most successful athletes. But I think he mentioned, again, this is coming back to episode 23, so quite a few weeks ago. But when he first was in the Olympics, or his first race over the 1500, he finished, when the winner finished, he was still 4 laps behind. And he was just so determined to make up that time. Then he ended up being the world champion for 12 years.
Yeah.
It's remarkable.
It's amazing. Like kind of how Tom King was talking about seeing that gold medal as like the ultimate goal and doing absolutely everything in your power to get there. He was talking about how when he went into the corporate world, he didn't realize how many public holidays there were because he, there was just didn't exist for his training with swimming and stuff. And yeah, I think being on the same playing field as people who are much older than you or are from completely different backgrounds. Like he said that some people competing were like Army SEALs and, you just don't know how much experience your competitors have. So you absolutely have to do everything in your power.
Possible.
Yeah.
Every inch, yeah. So should we talk about season 4?
Yeah.
Talk to me, Sienna. You're the boss of the podcast. What's in store for season 4?
Season 4 is going to be incredibly exciting. I think we're being a bit more directed in the topics for season 4. So I think like wrapping up season 3, it was amazing because a lot of our listeners knew the people we were having on as guests and looked up to them and watched them on the TV and stuff like that. And so now when we're moving into season 4, we want to kind of get our listeners involved in the conversation with investment and educate, but also have an open conversation about current news. So move away from like maybe personal stories, although that's part of who you are, I guess, as a host.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're honing in on investing.
Yeah, that's right. So we're going to be talking to investors about, their background still and what they do today, but also what advice around, what learnings around investment and maybe some tips on what to look at for investing and then potentially, if you like the investor, you might want to invest with them, and that's an opportunity to invest with them as well through their funds. But what's most important, you need to share our stories, follow us on Instagram. What do we do these days? We do TikTok. Sienna, you talk to me. I'm a bit old for this stuff.
No, not at all. So yes, we're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. We post on our LinkedIn page as well. We link the LinkedIn pages of all of our guests in the show notes. So we want to keep all of our listeners connected. That's basically the point of Finance Friends. We want everyone who tunes in and follows us to be a part of the conversation. That's been the point from day dot. I think this season 4 coming will be really exciting, especially talking about the investment philosophies of all of these people and how that differs and how their backgrounds kind of inform all of their theses around investment. And so it's going to be really exciting. We have a really amazing list of guests lined up.
I know, and it's actually our first guest is arriving in 5 minutes, and he's texted me and said he's here. So we better wrap it up. We better wrap it up there. So thank you, Sienna, for all your hard work. You do all the work behind the scenes and now in the scene on this occasion. So thank you, and I appreciate all your work.
Oh, thank you. And we'll see you guys in season 4.
See you then. Thanks for listening this week. Stay tuned for our next episode and keep up to date with us by following the Finance Friends podcast on Instagram and TikTok. Plus, connect with us and our guests over on our LinkedIn page, all linked in the show notes.
Disclaimer: this podcast exists for informational and entertainment purposes only. The personal opinions of the speaker and guests do not represent the view of any other party. If this recording contains reference to financial products, that reference does not constitute advice nor recommendations and may not be relied upon.